Welcome to the Headley Highlight Show's Headley Headspaces. The Headspaces are a series of thoughts and musings I have during the course of the week, and I chew all over them and I share them with you. And this week's Headspace is called Keir Starmer's Brexit Betrayal. Before I jump into my Headspace, which is Keir Starmer's Brexit Betrayal, I want to thank all of my new subscribers to my YouTube channel, which is deniseheadley.com. I now have 1,300 subscribers, and I'm aiming to get to 1,500, and I can only do it with your help. So please do press the notification button so I can be delivered directly to you whenever I upload a new video via a notification. You can also jump over to my website, which is deniseheadley.com, where I accept fiat and cryptocurrencies for this unique and fabulous content which I bring to you weekly. I also have a regular political Friday night talk show called The Headley Highlight, where the Headspaces are a feature of my live show, which is held at 8 p.m. GMT on X, previously Twitter, or 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Right, let's jump straight into this show. So this Headspace is called Keir Starmer's Brexit Betrayal. Now, a few weeks ago, I spoke about the way in which the current Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, and the Labour government have approached the British public in relation to the way they do politics. Often, they are very underhand in the way that they deal with things. And I argued that his relationship with Europe, via the question around the Ukraine war, was going to be a way for him to circumvent the Brexit referendum. And that is exactly what's happened. Go back and look at some of my previous Headspaces, please. So on the 19th of March, there was the London summit. And before you had the summit, lots of things were being discussed in the newspaper as to what the summit was actually going to create. And I also made Headspaces on that. And what's actually now happened is the meat and potatoes of that decision are now laid bare for the whole public to actually have a look at and examine. So before I detail what the changes are, it's important to remember one thing. Whether you liked it or not, there was a referendum, which is a democratic process to give the members of the public a view and also to exercise their right to choose what type of democracy they're engaged in. And on this occasion, I didn't agree with the vote at the time. I voted to stay in. I didn't want to leave the European Union in 2016, but the vast majority of the British public who did engage in the vote chose to leave. Subsequent to that vote, we've had a number of prime ministers, because it basically was almost 10 years ago, and there's been a number of different approaches to our exit from the European Union. And there were difficulties, and that was one of the reasons why we ended up with what was called the Windsor Agreement, because there had to be a degree of alignment, because parts of Ireland, like Northern Ireland, are actually part of the United Kingdom, and then Ireland was in the European Union. So all of that went out in the wash. But essentially what happened is we completely disengaged ourselves from the European Union. What's happened now is that Keir Starmer has used the conflict in the Ukraine as a bridge to take the UK back into a new political, economic and military arrangement with the European Union. That's what the reset means. When you reset something, you effectively change and start over. And that's what Mr. Keir Starmer and his government have engaged in, a reset. The reset is effectively a partial reversal of that referendum. And that reversal of the referendum has not gone back to the original people who made the decision. There was nothing in the Labour manifesto that I recall which said that there was going to be a revised relationship with the European Union, given the fact that we'd left the European Union. So you weren't told that this was coming down the road. And the suggestion that the environment precipitated it, I also think is a red herring and a misnomer. So let's just look at what this actual decision really means in real terms. There's been a new 12-year deal signed on fisheries. If you recall, during Brexit, that was one of the most contentious issues, access to fishing waters, namely for Denmark and France, coastal members of the European Union. So the new deal allows them access until 2038. It was supposed to end in June 2026, next year. The UK, on licensing and control, will retain the right to issue licenses and control access to its waters annually through bilateral arrangements with the EU. There's also a fishing fund. There's going to be a 360 million fishing coastal fund created to support investment in modern fishing equipment and technology. It's unclear where that money's coming from, so you need to be mindful. Maybe they're taking it off disabled pensioners to fund that. Who knows, with care. As a concession on the fishing, the UK secured reduced checks on exports of goods in the EU. This also includes inspections of animal products, plants and food exports. There was also military mobility and defence cooperation that was now introduced with the reset. The UK is going to join the EU's PESCO military mobility project. This is aimed at speeding up the movement of troops and military equipment across Europe. The hope is that it would facilitate EU, or should I say UK-EU defence logistics and support for NATO operations. There is also access to the 150 billion EU Defence Fund, which provides loans which have to be paid back. And in order to go into this, you need to pay into the kitty, and it's a lottery that you get a contract. But we're now able to do that. And this also effectively means that we are increasing our defence budget over and above the increase that happened about 4 weeks ago. Maybe 5 weeks in the Rachel Reeves budget. There's also the UK Youth Mobility Scheme, which effectively introduces freedom of movement back into the UK for people who are 18 to 35. Now, given that we were out of the common market, we were no longer under the jurisdiction of the ECJ, freedom of movement was removed. These arrangements very slowly and iteratively take us back into a political, economic and cultural relationship with the European Union, which we're not here to debate whether that's a good idea. The issue is we had a referendum which said we were no longer going to participate in that. And what's happened is there's been an independent, singular decision to effectively take us back into that relationship with the European Union. And as far as I can see, this is a Brexit betrayal. And yes, betrayal is a very strong word, but if you look across Europe, democratic decisions of the populace are consistently being betrayed, removed, reversed, so that they no longer count. And this is a feature across Europe. You saw it in Romania with the cancelling of the elections. You see it with Marine Le Pen, whether you agree with her politics or not. She's been removed from the electoral process because of the lawfare. And now we have the Brexit decision being reset by Keir Starmer with no recourse to the British public who put it in place. And what about the opposition? Everyone seems to effectively be soft manoeuvring around it. Where is Nigel Farage? I understand he's on a trip. I mean, he is the largest froghorn for Brexit and the benefits of the Brexit dividend. How come you're completely silent on a day where effectively the fisheries, which we said we were going to control and that we were going to have control over those waters, people would not be able to come and fish in those waters, that was going to expire on June 2026. How come it's been extended for 12 years? And you are silent as a church mouse, Nigel? So what's your thoughts? Do you feel that the democratic process has basically been scrubbed out with this, semi-detached, slightly Swedish deal that we now are engaged in with the European Union? How do you feel about the fact that our defense spending has increased twice in the course of the last 3 months? How do you feel about the fact that there is going to be effectively freedom of movement for 18 to 35-year-olds within the European Union so that, our communities in our countries are going to be competing with young people coming from all the areas of Europe who have freedom of access? How do you feel about that? And do you agree that this is a good idea? Do you think I'm completely off-piste using the language I'm using, even though I'm being pretty strong using the word betrayal? But do you think I'm too strong on it? Do you think I should be thinking about it in a different way? Let me know what your thoughts are. Give me your thoughts. Give me your 2 pence or your euro, your €3, or your definitely declining dollar price. Jump up on the podium, give me a thought, give me a view. Thank you for your listening ears, and do not forget to donate at denisehedley.com, my website, or jump over to the YouTube and join the community. See you next week, and cut!